Wagwan me people, welcome to Drift a Compass, the channel where we drift through history, culture, and the hidden gems of Jamaica and beyond. If you love stories, adventure, and learning something new every time, then you're in at the right place. So buckle up, stay locked in, and let's take this journey together. Right here up on Drift a Compass.
Wagwan. Welcome to Jamaica, Shadows and Light, a two-part journey into the heart of this island nation. In this first chapter, we step into the shadows. We'll uncover the struggles Jamaica faced after independence, the economic hardships, the political storms, and the weight of expectations on a young nation. But remember, this is only half the story, because for every shadow, there is light. And in part 2, we'll reveal the triumphs, the spirit, and the resilience that carried Jamaica to the world stage. But first, let's begin where it all started. On August 6, 1962, a new nation was born. After centuries under the thumb of the British Empire, Jamaica stood on its own, a symbol of hope and self-determination for the entire Caribbean. The world watched, optimistic, as a country with immense cultural power and boundless potential took its first steps. But over the decades that followed, something happened. A strange and difficult paradox emerged. How did a country so rich in spirit, so vibrant in its culture, and so gifted with natural beauty find itself caught in a seemingly endless cycle of economic struggle? Today, we are going to look at the darker side of Jamaica's story, the hard truth behind its economic journey since independence. And trust me, it's a saga as complex and dramatic as any battle for freedom. But stay with me until the end, because this is only part 1. The other half of the story is about resilience, triumph, and how Jamaica rose to global greatness. That's coming in part 2. Chapter 1. The colonial hand. To understand the struggle, you have to look at the starting line. Jamaica didn't begin its race as a new nation on a level playing field. It inherited an economy that was never built for its people. It was a machine designed by the British for the British. For centuries, the island was nothing more than a giant plantation, churning out a few commodities like sugar, bananas, and bauxite to be sold cheaply to the mother country. Think about it. Imagine trying to build a house on sand. They built the entire economy on a single flimsy foundation. When the global price for sugar or bananas dropped, the entire house of cards was at risk of tumbling down. Independence, as glorious as it was, came with a hidden price. The new government had to build almost everything from scratch: roads, schools, hospitals, public institutions, but with an empty treasury and a limited playbook. This is the legacy of colonialism. Freedom on paper, but chains of dependency still wrapped tightly around Jamaica's economy. Chapter 2. The Trap of Debt. With a broken system and a burning desire to grow, the young nation turned to the world for help, and the world answered with a seductive solution: loans. They were the easy fix, the promise of a brighter future. Institutions like the IMF and the World Bank offered billions, and Jamaica took the deal, fueled by hope. But the deal came with a price, a suffocating price. The loans came with harsh conditions called structural adjustment programs. Imagine being told that to survive, you have to cut off your own arm. That's what these conditions were like. The government was forced to cut spending on education and healthcare, the very things a young nation needs most. They were told to privatize industries, selling off pieces of the economy. They were told to devalue the Jamaican dollar, making imports painfully expensive for everyday citizens. And so, the debt grew. Interest piled up. A huge portion of the budget wasn't going into building the future. It was going right back into paying off the past. It became a vicious cycle, a financial quicksand. The harder Jamaica fought to climb out of it, the deeper it sank. Once again, let me pause here. Do you think Jamaica could have avoided this trap if it had chosen a different path? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you're finding this breakdown insightful so far, hit that like button so this story reaches more people. Chapter 3. A House Divided. While the economy struggled with outside forces, another war was brewing inside the country. The 1970s and 80s became a period of intense political rivalry between Jamaica's two main parties, the JLP and the PNP. But this wasn't just politics, it was war. Communities split, neighborhoods became battle zones, and Jamaica was caught in an era of violence that shocked the world. Political gangs formed, armed with weapons, fighting not just for votes, but for power and survival. Tourism, one of the nation's lifelines, collapsed. Investors fled, businesses shuttered, and fear became a daily reality. This wasn't just an economic setback, it was a wound to the soul of the nation. Families were torn, communities scarred, and the dream of unity seemed farther away than ever. Even when the violence slowed, the scars remained. Chapter 4. The Heavy Chain. As the decades wore on, Jamaica's burdens didn't vanish, they grew heavier. High levels of crime and corruption made life difficult for ordinary Jamaicans and scared off investment. Tourism, though vital, proved fragile. One hurricane, one global crisis, and the lifeline was cut. And then there's remittances, the money sent home by Jamaicans abroad. It's a source of strength, yes, but also a reminder. Jamaica's economy often depends not on its own engine, but on the fortunes of other nations. Step by step, decade by decade, the nation walked forward, but always with a heavy chain around its ankles. Chapter 5. The Cliffhanger. So is Jamaica's post-independence journey one of simple failure? No. It's a story of survival against impossible odds. From the crippling legacy of colonialism to the crushing weight of debt, from political turmoil to global vulnerability, Jamaica's story is one of endurance. And through it all, one thing never broke: the spirit of the Jamaican people. But here's the thing, this is only half the story. Because while part 1 is about the shadows, the struggle, the setbacks and the scars, part 2 is about the light. It's about how reggae became the voice of the world, how a small island produced the fastest humans on earth, how, despite all odds, Jamaicans carved out victories in education, healthcare and global influence, and how that Talawa spirit turned a tiny island into a cultural giant. So don't miss part 2, because that's where the spirit of Jamaica shines brightest. What do you think? Is Jamaica's journey since independence a failure, a survival story, or something more complex? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your perspective. And if you found this deep dive helpful so far, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be the first to know when part 2 drops. Because trust me, you don't want to miss it.